So the next step in this is I'll open up the Hypershade over here, and I'm going to create a multiply divide node. The idea is to divide the original diameter by the new, or the original distance by the new distance, and the result of that should be the new width of our lattice. So I'm also going to open up Window, General Editors, the Connection Editor, and I'm going to take the shape of that. I'm going to reload it on the left of the Connection Editor. I'm going to grab the Multiply Divide node, reload that on the right, and I'm going to say the distance should be input to x, input to y, input to z. I'm going to put this on the side for a moment, and now we know our original distance is 1, so both x, y, and z should also be 1. Now, the original distance is always 1, and then our new distance, or the current distance, will be input 2. Now we also want to go into that multiply divide node and change it from multiply to divide. So the next step here is to, again, in the connection editor, we actually want to grab this multiply divide now and reload him on the left, and then we want to grab both of those clusters that we made, cluster 1 and cluster 2, reload them on the right. We can take our output x, we're going to put that to the scale x of both clusters, and then the output z to the scale z of both clusters. Now we have squash and stretch controls that pretty much do what they should do. So now we'll do a little bit of cleanup. I'll grab the lattice and the distance nodes. I'm going to group them. I'm going to name that group rig, and I'm going to put that up the top near our geo and control groups. And now we got to decide what we want to do with this top and bottom control. And well, first let me hide this distance node. We don't really need to see it anymore. And let's hide the lattice. We don't need to see that as well. We'll only get in the way. I'm going to create a new control curve. And I'm just going to use a circle again. And I'll even change that circle's color again. We'll use a nice green. And I'm going to rotate that 90 degrees in Z. I'll scale it down a little bit. And I'm going to delete history again and freeze the transforms. What I'm going to name this is deform rotate control, and I'm going to parent our top and bottom controls under our deform control. If I open up the control group, I can take that deform rotate control and parent that under the move control. Now the goal of this is to be able to move those top and bottom controls without affecting the rest of the sphere. And we see now that it actually does affect the rest of the sphere. So in order to fix that, we need the base to follow along with the lattice when this rotate control's rotated. So we're going to, again, select the deform rotate control, and we'll select the lattice base. We'll go back into the connection editor one more time, and we will connect rotate of the control to the rotate of the base, rotate order to rotate order. And then let's close that out. And now we have a rotate to form control that seems to work. So the point of this is that instead of, if for some reason we don't want to squash this thing on the floor, we want to say squash it on the wall, but we want the position of the ball to stay the same, we can actually rotate our deformer control. The ball stays oriented the same, but now you can see we can squash it against the wall. And as you see, we can make it anywhere we want. So the last thing we need to look at is some problems that arise when we did all this. The problem is when we start moving our placement control or our move control now, we get a double transform. And that's really just because we set up this ball one way and then we added things, and we just need to reset some of those initial controls we set up. So the first thing we want to do is this geo node that we originally parent constraint, we want to just delete that parent constraint because now it's being controlled by the lattice. It doesn't need to be directly moved by the move control. In our rotate control, we want to take out of the hierarchy as well because that's also being pulled around by the lattice. So now we can move our placement and move control around again, and the rig seems to work just fine.